Story 13. On what seemed like an ordinary night, I found myself wandering the deserted streets of a small town where fate had left me unexpectedly stranded. The moon, full and luminous, cast its silvery light across the empty roads, painting the scene with an ethereal glow. As I turned a corner, my pulse quickened at the sight of an abandoned carnival, its silent attractions looming like specters in the moonlit dark. Driven by a blend of curiosity and unease, I approached the carnival with cautious steps. It appeared as if plucked from a bygone era, with its colors faded and peeling, and its once lively rides and game booths now shrouded in deep shadows. Despite its state of decay, the carnival exuded a magnetic allure, pulling me in as irresistibly as a moth drawn to a flame. Crossing the rusted gates sent a shiver through me, as the chill of the night air mingled with the unexpected sense of popcorn and cotton candy, strangely fresh against the backdrop of must and decay. I ventured deeper, exploring the abandoned stalls and tents, each step softened by the earthy floor. As I delved further into the carnival, a creeping sensation began to take hold, that of being watched by unseen eyes. Every so often I would whirl around, half expecting to catch a glimpse of someone or something lurking just out of sight. But each time I found only the empty pathways of the carnival, with its secrets tucked away behind locked doors and curtained windows. Compelled to discover the truth behind this eerie place, I pressed forward. The carnival seemed to unfold endlessly before me, its winding paths leading ever deeper into a growing darkness. Just as exhaustion began to set in, and I considered turning back, I came upon a tent that was markedly different from the others. This tent was smaller, its canvas worn and tattered, yet it exuded an inexplicable draw. Without a moment's hesitation, I pushed aside the flap and stepped inside, only to be enveloped by the thick, stale air. Inside, I encountered an astonishing sight: a vast array of mirrors stretched out in all directions, creating a dizzying maze of reflections. The mirrors warped and weaved, distorting reality into surreal forms that seemed to pulse with a strange life. Heart pounding, I ventured into the labyrinth, my reflection fractured and reassembled into bizarre shapes with each step. As I navigated the confusing array of glass, the mirrors seemed to proliferate endlessly, each turn multiplying the reflections until I felt engulfed by a sea of distorted images. Panic surged within me, a primal fear rising as I realized I was lost in a seemingly infinite maze. Desperation peaked as I scrambled to find a way out, but each attempt only plunged me deeper into the mirrored trap. It was then, at my lowest ebb of hope, that I spotted a faint light shimmering in the distance, a beacon amidst the chaos. Summoning what strength remained, I pushed toward the light, guided by its promise of escape. Eventually I stood before the source, a pristine mirror, untouched by the distortions that plagued the others. Yet the reflection it offered was more horrifying than any other. It showed not my familiar features, but a grotesque distortion, my visage twisted into an unrecognizable visage. Staring in horror, my shock was complete when the mirror suddenly shattered, its fragments scattering across the ground, each piece reflecting a portion of the monstrous image it had shown. I recoiled, a scream escaping my lips as the truth dawned on me. The carnival was not merely abandoned, but cursed, a playground designed to capture and torment souls. In a haze of fear and adrenaline, I fled the tent, the carnival's ominous energy pressing close, as if reluctant to release its prey. As I burst through the gates and into the night, the sounds of the carnival faded into a suffocating silence. Though I had escaped the physical confines of that haunted place, the experience lingered, a dark shadow cast over my memories. I knew then that the carnival was a malevolent entity, its attractions a facade for deeper, darker secrets. And while I had managed to escape, the imprint of that night, of the twisted reflections and the haunting maze, would forever haunt my thoughts, a chilling reminder of the night when the ordinary turned into the extraordinary, revealing horrors hidden just beneath the surface of a forgotten carnival. Story 14. The mansion stood as a haunting relic of a once glorious past, its grandeur shrouded by overgrown ivy and the twisted limbs of ancient trees. Always fascinated by such places, I was drawn to the mysteries and secrets that lingered within its decrepit walls. As I neared the mansion, the air thickened with the essence of untold stories, enveloping me in a foreboding atmosphere that could not deter my curiosity. Despite the clear warnings of nature's reclamation, I pressed forward, compelled by the allure of the unknown. The mansion's entrance was veiled behind a dense thicket of shrubs and thorny branches, as if nature itself was determined to shield its secrets from prying eyes. With a mix of anticipation and apprehension, I pushed through the overgrowth, each step taking me deeper into the heart of the enigma. Inside, the mansion revealed itself as a maze of decaying corridors and abandoned rooms, heavy with the smell of must and neglect. Rays of sunlight pierced through broken windows, casting elongated shadows that danced across peeling wallpaper, creating a spectacle of eerie movements. I wandered through the hallways, the sound of my footsteps echoing off the walls, amplifying the sense of solitude. It felt as though the mansion itself was sentient, whispering ancient confidences that had been swallowed by time. As I rounded a corner, my heart stopped. There, at the end of the hallway, stood the ghostly figure of a man. His form was translucent, shimmering with an ethereal light, and his eyes glowed with a supernatural fury that chilled me to the core. Rooted to the spot, I was frozen by the intensity of his gaze, which seemed to pierce through the physical world and into the deepest recesses of my spirit. Time stood still as we faced each other in a silent confrontation, the air around us charged with an electric anticipation. Then he moved. The figure glided towards me with a fluid grace that belied his ghostly nature, the sound of his movement reminiscent of rustling leaves. Panic set in and I stumbled backward, my mind racing with fear and confusion. Questions surged through me. What was this apparition? And what did it seek from me? As if sensing my terror, the ghost halted and, in a voice that echoed like distant thunder, he demanded, "Who dares trespass in my domain? Who dares disturb the slumber of the dead?" Stricken mute with fear, I struggled to respond, my voice a mere whisper against the overwhelming dread that gripped me. The spectral figure advanced, his fiery gaze intensifying as he pronounced my transgression. "You have trespassed where you do not belong," he declared ominously. "And now, you must pay the price." In a burst of adrenaline, I broke from the paralysis that held me and fled down the corridor, the ghost's chilling presence a constant shadow at my heels. He was relentless, appearing before me each time I thought I had found an escape, his spectral form blocking every path. Driven by sheer instinct, I fought through the panic, searching desperately for any means of escape. It was then that I discovered a concealed staircase, winding downwards into the mansion's dark underbelly. With no other recourse, I descended into the unknown, the stairs creaking underfoot as I plunged deeper into the darkness. The staircase twisted endlessly, a narrow passage that seemed to burrow into the very soul of the mansion. Driven by a mix of fear and hope, I continued my descent, each step taking me further from the ghost but deeper into the mansion's secrets. At last, the staircase opened into a vast, dimly lit chamber. Walls lined with shelves overflowing with dusty books and strange artifacts greeted me, an ancient library hidden beneath the mansion. Relief washed over me as I realized the ghostly figure had not followed me into this sanctum. Exhausted, I collapsed onto the floor, my breaths heavy with the exertion of my escape. As my heartbeat slowed, a profound sense of awe overtook the lingering fear. The library was a treasure trove of knowledge, filled with texts and relics that whispered of ages past and secrets untold. The ghost's pursuit had led me to a place of incredible discovery, a hidden library that held the answers to the mansion's mysteries. Gratitude mingled with my respect for the mansion and its spectral inhabitant, for I realized that this encounter had changed the course of my life. I had entered the mansion seeking the thrill of the unknown, and I had found it, not just in the spectral guardian who roamed its halls, but in the ancient wisdom preserved beneath its foundation. My journey had begun with the search for forgotten lore, and it had ended with the realization that some mysteries once unveiled transform you forever. Story 15. In the shadowed hallways of the house where I spent my youth, there existed a secret that had always tantalized my imagination: the enigmatic basement. Though its presence was known to all in my family, it was cloaked in a veil of silence, as if speaking of it would break some ancient pact. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, I resolved one night to delve into the depths that lay beneath our home, to uncover the mysteries sealed away under the creaking floorboards. The atmosphere was heavy with anticipation as I made my descent down the old wooden staircase that led to the basement. Each step resonated through the stillness, a somber echo of the years of neglect the space had endured. My heart beat a frenetic rhythm, filled with both excitement and trepidation, as I reached the landing and hesitantly switched on the feeble overhead light. A musty, almost palpable scent of abandonment greeted me, reminiscent of an ancient spell cast long ago. Spiderwebs draped the corners, forming a tapestry of desolation, while particles of dust swirled in the scant light. The scene resembled a set from a forgotten horror film, yet my desire to explore pushed me onward, deeper into the basement's forgotten recesses. Hidden behind an old stack of disregarded furniture, I discovered a door shrouded in shadows. My hands shook as I pushed it open, revealing a room swallowed by darkness. A wave of cold air washed over me as I stepped inside, the temperature dropping with each step I took forward. What I found there sent a chill through my very soul. Dolls, countless dolls, arrayed in rows, their glassy eyes peering into nothingness with eerie precision. They perched on dusty shelves, their porcelain visages etched with expressions of silent judgment. It was as if I had stumbled upon a time capsule, where moments of childhood were preserved in a grotesque tableau of immobility. I was mesmerized by their solemn watch, drawn inexplicably to their presence. Yet, as I prepared to leave, a sensation crept up my spine, the unsettling feeling of unseen eyes upon me. Then, a sound faint and nearly imperceptible, like the softest footsteps on the cold basement floor. Rooted in place, my heart thundered against my ribs as I dared to look back at the dolls. There, in the dim light, I saw a subtle, unmistakable movement. The dolls, as if stirred by some spectral hand, shifted ever so slightly on their perches. Their joints creaked, and their eyes, those glossy, unblinking eyes, followed my every move with an intent that was undeniably hostile. Panic seized me, a visceral fear that I had awakened something unnatural, something that defied the boundaries of the physical world. I had ventured into a domain that should have remained sealed, touched a curse that was meant to stay buried. Desperately, I reached for the door, eager to escape the oppressive darkness and the malevolent gaze of the dolls. Just as my hand clasped the knob, a whisper sliced through the silence, freezing my blood. "Leave." The command was soft, more sighed than spoken, yet it bore the weight of untold years, a sorrow so profound it echoed in the hollows of my soul. It was both a warning and a plea, a voice from the abyss urging me to flee the horrors I had unwittingly unleashed. And flee I did. I ascended the stairs with haste, my footsteps a frantic drumbeat in the quiet house. I dared not look back, for fear of what might follow from the darkness. It wasn't until I was safely within my room, the door firmly shut behind me, that I allowed myself to breathe. The glow from my bedside lamp seemed unusually comforting, a beacon of normalcy in the wake of terror. Yet, even in this sanctuary, I felt a lingering gaze, as if the doll's eyes had burrowed into my very being. That night, as I lay in my bed, the images of those glassy eyes invaded my dreams, their stares piercing the veil of sleep with their silent accusations. I tossed and turned, caught in a feverish nightmare where I walked endless corridors lined with those same haunting figures. Upon waking, the relief of daylight was palpable, yet the imprint of the basement's chilling tableau remained with me. I knew then that the mysteries of my childhood home were deeper and darker than I had ever imagined. But one truth was unmistakably clear: I would never venture into that basement again. The secrets it held were too dark, too fraught with peril to confront. Whatever lingered in that forsaken room, it was a chapter of the past that needed to remain closed, forever sealed away in the shadows beneath the house.